faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. You know what? I didn't actually expect to do a show tonight, but I just, my whole purpose of starting a podcast was to get myself, keep myself into learning about something with communications, because that's what I went to school for, radio and TV. And then, also just to vent when I have something to talk about or need to blow some steam off. So tonight is one of those nights I think I have to blow a little steam off. I was just very angry today. Not angry enough to kill people, but I'm being sarcastic, by the way, with that one. Because I got in discussion with, it was basically leaving voicemails. Nobody wants to talk to me live, so I got in this discussion with a friend, and I said to him, there was this thing I read in the paper. Everybody was talking about at my job, but some guy who was a chemist stole some poisonous chemicals and dumped it into, it says, an inlet. And somebody that I was talking to, his wife knows this guy, like he's seen the guy before. And he was saying that the guy, this guy, he works up in Lansdale at a pharmaceutical company. And he basically, the guy that I work with, he said his wife said that, this guy stole this stuff because he had problems. I hear different things. He said he heard it was raccoons, and I've heard a guy stole this poison from work to kill off, other types of pests. Raccoons you actually got to be careful with anyway, because don't they carry rabies? So it is a big issue. So how's it get you upset? Well, I'll get into that in a moment, because I don't want to be up all night. I'm not going to have I don't have any audio segments, because I didn't expect to do a show, obviously. But they put information about this guy. Apparently, I also heard where he worked that they knew about it for 2 months before it got, finally publicized. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Because the company that he worked for didn't want this exposed, and it was a company up in Lansdale that had gotten in trouble for Merck Sharp and Dome, so they didn't want this exposed, so they kept it under wraps until it just got out of hand. So, excuse me about that. I'm cleaning my glasses off. I don't know this person from a hill of beans. And, when you read anything from the local area on anyone, right away you just automatically assume the worst, even if you don't know this person. And, to me it hit home, because I told a friend, this guy, when I heard more about him, you're not going to read about this guy. I heard this from other people who knew this guy, somebody who knew somebody who knew this guy, this person I'm talking about. His name is Richard O'Rourke, and he was 60 years old, and, I heard, you're not going to read about this, that he had lived at home his entire life. He was a little bit eccentric, and he was one of these, conspiracy theorist kind of thing, but the guy said, from what he heard about him, or maybe this guy actually passed this guy somewhere and kind of knew him as a neighbor or something, said that this guy otherwise was pretty much harmless. This person who is now all over the news and all over the papers, this guy, Richard O'Rourke. So bottom line is they said this guy, and the way they described this guy reminds me of myself. Not that I'm going to go out. And he didn't mean any harm by what he was doing. He was just basically trying to. I have a neighbor next door. She had problems with moles and stuff like that. So you know what she did? And then she has bird feeders. Well, what does this have to do with anything? She just basically got rat poison and threw it all over the ground. And unfortunately, the birds were eating it too, the birds that she feeds in bird feeders, which are higher up, but they saw this stuff on the ground that looked like bird food, and they were eating the rat poison. So we had a bunch of dead birds all over our yard and her yard, and she didn't even care twice. Now, did she get arrested or lose her job? Absolutely not, 'cause she did it at her house. Well, this guy, the only reason he got in trouble is because he stole something from, the company he worked for, and so they covered it up. Somebody apparently had turned him in, and now it's a big issue, and he's going to serve jail time. And he got panicky, and he threw this stuff apparently down the drain, and it's poison, which is not good. Don't get me wrong, but they're building it up way beyond what it needs to go. This is what I'm hearing now. Yeah, so it's not good to do, but. Was the neighbor next door who threw rat poison all over the ground a good idea? Any type of pesticide or any type of toxic chemical, because that's what I'm reading this is a problem. But, because it says according with this, it was potassium cyanide. It's highly toxic chemical that interferes with the body's ability to use oxygen. It has whole body systematic effects, particularly affecting those organ systems most sensitive to low oxygen levels: the central nervous system, brain, the cardiovascular system, heart and blood vessels, and the pulmonary system, lungs. Yes, it's very serious, but do you think the stuff you throw in your yard is any better? Seriously. Those chemicals have the same probably label. It even says, authorities allege they said that this O'Rourke stole nearly 220 grams of potassium cyanide from Merck and Company laboratory in Upper Gwinnett. So I don't know how much 220 grams is. Is that a lot? I have no clue. But apparently somebody, and I know from experience from where I work, people just gang up on you. Like they literally, like you're in high school. Like it hasn't changed from 40 years ago when I was in high school. Literally 40 years ago at this point. That's pretty scary. Or 45 years almost. Probably more 45. Where, you're either in the in gang or you're segregated from the rest of the group and you are treated like a piece of shit. And I told my dad about this, and he said, yeah, because I work where my father used to work. And he said, yeah, the people that I work with, well, literally, if they don't like you and you don't fit in the in crowd, you're going to be segregated and you're going to be harassed. And this has been going on. And my dad's been retired from where I still work, where my dad worked. He's been retired for 10 years. And he knows about the bullshit that goes on our job. So when I read this story, and it's close to home for me in many ways, because, I don't live that far from where this happened, it becomes a serious issue. But what it came to be with my friend is, well, you don't want to be like this guy. It's like, no, I'm not saying I want to be like this guy. I'm saying I am like this guy because I try to make friends. I try to communicate with people, and all they want to do is just ignore me. Is it something I'm doing wrong? I seriously doubt it. It's just that people have this mentality right nowadays where you either, if you're not in a gang of people or fit with a clique, they don't want to bother with you. It was far less worse when I was in college, but it is definitely far worse than it was when I was in high school, if that makes any sense. So I had some idiots and I had some real assholes when I was in college that played games with me. But, and this is not saying about this guy, I'm just talking from personal experience. But for me, it's gotten far worse from where I've worked the last 16 years. So when I read this story about this guy, it's like, yeah, my dad made a very good and valid point that, it doesn't matter where you work, because you can get this in any job, and I've had it in other jobs, where either you get along with everybody or a few people, and a few people you don't, or you have these cliques the same way you had in high school. My dad, I told him about this story, and he felt like, well, this guy probably had the same issues we had where he used to work and where I work now, the job I work in now, where people just basically are very cliquey. They play games, and they seem to make, a Frankenstein's monster out of one or two people, because that's what keeps them going. They have nothing else better to do besides acting like overgrown children. So I had that experience tonight. That's another reason I wanted to do a show tonight, where people just play games and play games and play games and just never stop. They never know how to stop or how to grow up. So that's what I needed to discuss. I had some goofy stories I had over the couple days, or yesterday and today, and probably not ready for that yet. I'm trying to look, because there was this incident then. Okay, I had some other things. I really did not want to do a full show. I honestly don't. I just wanted to get this off my chest so I can feel better and I can sleep without anything. Okay, Nicholas Cruz. It was a 19-year-old in Florida who shot and killed 17 people randomly for no reason at all. And it's funny because it's been on the news all day. I'm trying to look where this guy, he was kicked out of high school, but where he was going to high school. And Parkland, Florida. But what's the name of the high school, though? A horrible day on Valentine's Day, which has passed now. At least 17 dead in Florida school shooting. Suspect in custody. So guess what came out first, folks? Guess what came out first? And this is proven now, but then that changes, because you got people who he was a registered Democrat. That's a fact. And they said he was part of AFTA. Is that called AFTA? Because somewhere I marked this. It's basically fascism, everything like that. He's part of AFTA, and they said, oh, no, he wasn't. In fact, he had a Trump hat on. So, when something is going to attack, come forth that, hey, this was nobody on the right who started this violent attack against innocent people. It was somebody from the left who was a registered Democrat. Then all of a sudden they said, oh, no, he had a Trump hat on. And he was part of, what do you call it? I'm trying to think right now. He was part of ISIS, supported ISIS. I mean, this is what came out once it came out that, hey, this guy was on the left. He was part of that AFTA. And what do you hear? Oh, this is not true. That's not true. He's actually part of, he was like had a Trump hat on. And he was for communism. I mean, it's just amazing how they will try anything under the sun just to take the eyes of the public off of the truth. So, I mean, it's hilarious, actually. Somebody actually wrote on my Facebook page, I put up a picture, many stories on this guy of Nicholas. What is his name? It's Cruz, Nicholas Cruz. And somebody said, "Oh, this man he's evil." And it was I couldn't help it. I just started literally and put up a laughing face on Facebook. It's like, that is the most hilarious thing of it. Not that these people got killed. The fact that you think that this man is yeah, he's evil, all right. But is that his motive behind killing innocent people? No, the guy is somebody who really believes in, what is that? AFTA. I forget what AFTA stands for. That whole thing with AFTA, which they got pissed about, even though he was probably part of it. I got to look this up because I can't remember. I put it somewhere and they took it down. Because, heaven forbid, we can't have that. They make sure they take stuff like that down. on my Facebook page. I heard some stuff I put up they actually do take down. And it's not just inappropriate. Well, there is some inappropriate stuff, but I'm just saying, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. How do you spell after? Give me a minute, because I can't find it right now. Meaning after. Because I'm actually putting the abbreviation. It's something against which just made me freaking laugh. I mean, it's not funny. It's not funny. It's basically anti. Maybe I'm not saying it right. Maybe it's not no, I'm sorry. I keep on saying AFTA. I meant Antifa. That he was part of the Antifa group, and right away they actually had his. What do you call it? Your registration number, whatever you call it. I had that somewhere. I could probably pull it up again, but they have his thing. And it like basically once they said, they find out, oh, he was part of Antifa. That's not true. That's a lie. And he's a Democrat. No, that's not true. And yeah, it is true, because a lot of people pulled up his information. And he was on Instagram and all this other stuff. So, no offense, folks. He was part of the Antifa. You just don't want to see that. You don't want to admit to that, I should say. Okay, Antifa, it's anti-racism. So, okay, this guy is against racism, and he kills 17 people of all ages, teachers and students. And then all of a sudden, no, he's for ISIS. Well, you know what? The left also supports ISIS, and they find them victims anyway. So you're just basically, folks, from the left, you're just digging yourself into a deeper and deeper hole by trying to justify that this guy is, or not justify, but trying to clarify this guy, he's not part of Antifa. It doesn't matter, because he was from the left, and this is what kind of people support you, folks. So I think it's the whole thing all the way around is hilarious. It's not funny as people got killed. Don't get me wrong. But you are hypocrites. You are big fucking hypocrites. And this just proves the fact. So, that was some side note I just wanted to throw in there, because I do feel, don't get me wrong, I feel really bad for these people who got killed. I don't know these people, but they are human beings, and I don't think any human being should get struck down just because of somebody else. Yeah, they try to change it as quickly as possible, as this guy trying to deter people from seeing that this guy was a registered voter for the Democrat Party, supported obviously Trump, and he was, supported Antifa, against terrorism, everything like that. I'm probably not saying that right, but you get the, because I don't want to be up all night. It's going to go on 4:00 by the time I'm done anyway. I just think the whole thing, and it's not amusing, but it is amusing. Okay, here I had it buried somewhere. Cruz Nicholas was born the 26th of May, 1998. He's a male, registered as a Florida Democrat for the Florida Democrat Party, or however you want to say that. Residing at, and he give the address. Don't need to know that. And then he give his Florida voter ID number. So they have it here. They have his home phone number or his cell phone number. I have no clue. This is the most recent information from Florida voter, listed as of the 31st of December of last year. Previous information, and it just goes down. His name is Nicholas D. Jesus Cruz. So that's kind of a laugh. Yeah, but he supported strongly the Democrat Party. We don't want that to come out. Well, it did, and you got, all the pictures of all the people who unfortunately fell victim to this person who killed these people. So, way to go, left. And what do you try to do right away when this comes out? Exposes what people support, what type of people support your party. Right away, you try to push it that, he had a Trump hat on and he was supporting ISIS. You might as well say the guy was a freaking, what do you call it, as well? Because, I mean, that would be something you would do, right? Is say that he was part of the Russian coalition, too. I mean, I'm sure that's in there somewhere. It's not going to bring these people back to life. I hate to tell you. I know it's hard to believe, but it's the truth. So, I just got to get this out, too. I was listening today to Ken Matthews, and I was amazed what I heard. So, I mean, I'm like, I got up late like I always do, and I'm listening to Ken Matthews, and what do I hear? Well, Ken Matthews right away, first part, because I heard like he comes on at 3:00 right after Rush Limbaugh's off. He comes on. The truth about crime, illegal immigrants, and sanctuary cities. There was, he was talking about this. So he brought up, because he's from, what do you call it? He is from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And he was talking about, so right away, I jumped on the computer before I got to work, and I found the article he actually was talking about. 80% of 101 illegals arrested in New Jersey ICE operation are convicted felons. So 80% of 100 people they caught were all felons. 88% of illegals caught just in Jersey alone have criminal convictions. 80% have felon convictions. And there's a screenshot of something. A 5-day sweep in New Jersey last week nabbed 101 illegals, 80% whom were convicted felons. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, announced Tuesday. And it goes down a list of where they came from, but they're all convicted criminals. 80%. That's a large amount, folks. It goes down because this is what actually the exact same thing that Ken Matthews had read on air earlier yesterday. Mexican citizen, a Turkish, Colombian, Spanish, Philippine, I'm not saying it right, Dominican citizen, El Salvador, Korean. I mean, these were all convicted criminals, and it goes down even another list. Dominican Republic, Mexico. These are where these people came from. Was 15 Mexicans, Dominican Republic 18, all convicted criminals. Honduras 8, El Salvador 7, Guatemala 6, Cuba 4, Colombia 4, and it goes on and on. I'm not going to read all these. You can see this. It was on CNSnews.com, and just type in and even on Google. Basically put in 80% of illegals arrested in Jersey, and you should be able to find it pretty easily. So I had to jump on that because I did too, actually. So now here's another one that was, I told a couple friends, I don't hear back. I never expect to hear back, honestly. Because unless it's about them, they don't want to hear it. Or if it's me giving them free stuff, there's only one friend who I actually give free stuff to. I never hear from him either. Anyway, this was from Ben Salem Patch. There was actually one from Phoenixville Patch. They're all from Pennsylvania, by the way. Murder capitals of America. Number 2 Pennsylvania cities are 2 Pennsylvania cities on the list. So there's 2 cities in Pennsylvania that are on the murder capital list. We're like number 2, by the way. 2 Pennsylvania cities among the murder capitals of America. One in suburban Philadelphia was listed second nationwide. Second nationwide is right here in my hometown, not too far from here, actually, of Philadelphia, outskirts of Philadelphia. This is not a list really we want to be proud of, basically, but in Pennsylvania cities, not to scare you, but you might want to know why. So I'm going to find the name of these cities, and you could read the rest. Again, it was on the Ben Salem Patch, and that was actually on February. I'm trying to see when this was written. February 13th. So it was just like a day old. This is what you got to be proud of. Pennsylvania. Oh, Chester, PA is the number 2 what do you call it? It's number 2 on the murder rate in nationwide, Chester County. So the other one that was from PA, I'm trying to look for that because there was 2. I think was Harrisburg, if I remember correctly. I'm trying to look for it. So, and that's really disturbing, actually, because I don't live that far from Philly, and just to know, it does kind of make me feel very uncomfortable. Yeah, here it is. In Pennsylvania, the 2 cities that were given the not-so-favorable designation include Chester, Delaware County, and Harrisburg, the state capital. Chester came in second, making it the nation's worst murder capital behind only East St. Louis. So that's really something to be proud of. Not. Just letting you know. Okay, I'm almost in a half an hour. I do have some lighter stories, so don't worry about it. And I'm not going to be on all night, like I said before, because the rest are just stories more from different news sources about this 80% in Jersey. You know, if they only caught 100 people, they caught 100 people in like a day. And out of those 100 people, 80% of them, that's 80 people out of 100 were convicted felons in Jersey. So that's just plain right scary. That's just scary. TheHill.com actually had one story, and it says the truth about crime, illegal immigrants, and sanctuary cities. So I didn't really read that one, so I'm not going to go into it, but it was on The Hill. Just to let you know, TheHill.com, because I hear about that a lot from different conservatives that I listen to. And this is a lengthy story, and unfortunately, I did not read it, but it probably pertains to the same thing that I was just mentioning about, the left is going to tell you, oh, this is, hey, you deport all these people, you're gonna ruin our country. No, we're gonna actually make it better. I hate to tell you. And that's another thing. It's in my mind right now, so I'm going to mention it. Is not only is it bad about having illegal immigrants, especially children coming over, and being born in this country, but then, which I think really personally needs to stop, is this stupid chain migration, which means that you get in the country, you're born in this country, and then your relatives come over as well. Chain migration. So not only does that a child get born in this country illegally, not only do the parents get to stay, but then the relatives can come along too. They can be anchored into this country, and nobody can stop them at this point. This is what Trump was trying to change, by the way. So, and they're making a big fuss that we're being so evil about, that we want this to happen. We want this to stop. So what is so hard about this? I mean, I don't understand this at all. I really do not understand this at all. Okay, here's a story I had. Like I said, there was a story from Phoenixville. I just didn't know what it was on. I'll just touch upon what was titled. It says, Chesaco mother cut child's genitals with scissors. The mother told police that she grabbed scissors while changing the child's diaper and initially cut off the child's genitals. So, real proud mom, huh? I mean, there's some really, and I gotta, it's bad enough I gotta worry about myself, but I read this stuff and it's really scary. It is so unbelievably scary, actually. Okay, I need to lighten the mood for a minute because I'm just even making myself more depressed. This was a funny story. I don't know if it's true or not, but it was something I found on Facebook. I signed up for this thing called Funny and Objective. What do you call that? Excuse me, I got a burp. I can't say that word. Objectable stuff. Man arrested after selling farts in a jar without vending license. Yeah, I know it's something stupid and silly, but I just had to laugh at it. Yeah, it's like goofy stories and stuff like that. Sometimes I need that. Yeah, so I need to lighten up a little bit. I'm going to have it like 35, 40 minutes hopefully tonight, and that'll be my night. On a lighter note, I'm kind of happy. I actually will finally be able to I'm trying to think. I've almost paid off my laptop. I got, a laptop I'm doing this podcast on, an Apple laptop. And it was a $3,000 laptop. So I'm down to like almost zero. I'm like $200 away of paying it off. Now, the funny thing was, I know it's just boredom, but I know this guy at work, he has like an Apple laptop and then he has a gaming laptop. So what do you need a gaming laptop for? Well, it's to play games, of course. Well, I have gaming consoles and I really don't use those, but for some reason, there is some games I do like to play on the computer. I don't like playing them on a console. That's just the bottom line. I told you I had to lighten this up. It was just too heavy, the stuff I was talking about. So he got a rather expensive one, probably like about a $2,000 laptop, just to play games on. There's a guy at work that I work at. He bought it like a $3,000 laptop just to play video games on at work. That's where you're supposed to play them, right? It's a little ridiculous. I wouldn't do that. I mean, if I have a little downtime, the most I can do is watch like a half an hour show. Once in a blue moon, I can watch a little bit more than that but it's usually a show or a movie and start watching it, and I wait till I get home to finish it out. I mean, it's never been a time, honestly, that I say I do just because I like to bullshit like everybody else does. But it's honestly, I never got a chance to watch an hour and a half, 2-hour movie. Seriously, I really don't. I act like I do, but I don't. Well, again, it's past now, but Valentine's is done and over with, which I'm kind of quite happy about because I just can't stand it. It's one of those days I'd rather just not think about. It's just even more depressing, though, because these poor people, there was 17 people now that are dead, so that's not cool. Okay. So I'm just rambled on at this point, folks. I kind of got out what I needed to say, just to get myself more that I can sleep tonight. So, a little bit more nonsense. It looks like for people. I don't know if you saw that if you have Netflix, but J.J. Abrams made a third Cloverfield movie. And it was god-awful. He actually didn't make it. He just directed it. Cloverfield was his little project on a monster movie, J.J. Abrams. The first one just was kind of hard to understand. The second one was kind of interesting. The third one was made for Netflix. You had to have Netflix, which I do. And I watched it, and I was like really gung-ho. I thought it would just add to the atmosphere of that whole realm of this monster thing that he started, but it actually did not. And in fact, it was beyond bad. It was, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people, I read critics' reviews, and they actually said the same thing. They thought it was god-awful. And it was. I mean, I wish I was just saying that, but it was really, really bad. Sorry. I started something in the background, some stupid video. I didn't even know I had my sound on. Well, it takes your mind off my voice. And I'm at 34 minutes almost. So, what was that anyway? Was that? Sorry about that. I shouldn't do this. I just bumped my cable. I just got to figure out who that was. No, I mean the music. I did it again. See, this is what happens when I'm tired. I don't pay attention. So, this is what I did. No, I don't get no music, though. I'm just curious. Was that Wham? I can't remember. Not important either. It's not important. I know. Some stupid Valentine's video. It was kind of funny, and I put it on my Facebook page. A guy, it is funny. It's not appropriate. It's kind of funny. This guy gets this girl, and she's got on like my favorite, the ultra tight spandex, and he shoots an arrow with a penis on the end at her ass, on her spandex ass. Literally. And she falls in love with him. But a penis arrow. It was funny. There were some good ones today. Little short videos on Facebook. One is from this horror thing. They make these short horror videos. So they did one with Cupid. going crazy and killing people. And I can't. Well, here it is. It's called the Crypt TV. It's pretty funny sometimes. Some of them are pretty gory and some of them are pretty interesting. But Crypt TV is something I think exclusively for Facebook, and they're like little shorts that either people make or whatever. So I've been following it for a little bit. But they had one on for Valentine's, and that kind of stuff is entertaining. I need that to kind of lighten my mood. I had some other goofy stuff. Well, everything I know was goofy, but I do put some good stuff on there, too, that's more interesting. I got to break it up with everything. Anyway, on a lighter note, none of this stuff anymore that I'm speaking about is of any importance to anyone, probably not even me. But I'm going to talk about it anyway because I need to wind myself down and go to bed. And I'm going to have an hour show anyway. No, I won't. But I was so psyched the other day because they actually started filming. They got some location shots filming, not a movie. It is a TV show, not a movie, though. Was the new Doctor Who. So the new Doctor Who is a woman named Jodie Whittaker, I think her name is, or Whittaker. I think it's Whittaker. Would I take her? I don't know. But she's kind of cute, though. A cute Doctor Who. That's kind of strange. So everybody is like up in arms about, or not up in arms, but they're all like psyched about, Doctor Who fans, especially in England. That's like a big thing. I think that's as big as the king or the queen of England is Doctor Who and Tea Time. I think Doctor Who is up there on that level. So minus that I do have a lot of Doctor Who links on my Facebook page. But everybody was like very psyched because they actually, got like the prop TARDIS they take around to location shooting, which they were doing that. It says at the Park Hill Flats and Shefford or Sheffield. It's in England. So I think that's actually that location. I'm not saying it correctly, obviously. Is where they shot the very first season when they brought it back, Series 1 as they called it. So they got Jodie actually in her Doctor Who costume, and it looks like they, some people got some snapshots of, her in her costume and with the actors she'll be working with. So, to most people, probably it's not a big deal. To me, it was like, oh, this is awesome, because I love when they get like this behind the scene kind of crap and, and that this is actually going to take place. Like this is no longer, because people are upset that they actually changed the sex of the character from a male after 50 years to a female for the very first time. And honestly, I'm for once, because I'm usually not, I'll admit to that, but for once, I'm like very open-minded. And now the fact that they're actually on location trying to do, which has got to be impossible because, you got a lot of fan base, probably, obviously more so if this is where you're shooting the show in England, they're going to actually have to be held back. I know I went to some other shooting for some TV show. It was Vampire Diaries. And it was down in Covington, Georgia, and it was not easy to keep the crowds back for a 1-minute scene that actually had taken them, because of the crowds, all day to do that shot for 1 minute. So that's a difficult thing. Like when you're a show that's just taken off, it's not that hard. But when a show gets really big, especially a show that's been on for 50 years, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's very difficult to actually shoot a program like that because you have everybody you have to keep back and make sure they don't, destroy your film or your shooting of whatever you're doing, whatever segment. So to me, I just find it fascinating. It's my hobby, it's my entertainment. It's my interest, not in life, but my interest away from everyday life. So I thought it was really cool because I'm gonna hear about this some way or somehow. The other thing that was really cool, because it depends what part of Doctor Who, what era of Doctor Who I'm watching. But I was hoping for this almost, but obviously this might be the case. The very first episode, if it is that, may actually have dialects in there. So is it dialects or dialects? Dialects. I don't know how you say it. So that alone just got me psyched. I would say, because honestly, on the old series, my very favorite monster, believe it or not, were the Cybermen. And now the fact that they change what the Cybermen look like and the way they act, I don't like them as much. But I used to love the Cybermen. They were my all-time favorite. So, that was cool to me. That was cool for me. Cool to me. Cool for me. It was cool, yo. Hey, you know what was kind of weird? And I'm pretty much going to be done. I got out what I needed to say to kind of calm myself down. I think it did work, so thank you for those who will listen to this and whatever. So it does help. It does help. It was funny. I was BSing with this guy the other day, a coworker, about back in the day when I started, because I'm have a big fascination with computers, and we were BSing about DOS and DOS prompt, which is DOS, and then there was something called DOS shell, SHELL, and some other things, and what an x86 was. And he said there's a guy that he works with who didn't know what an x86 was. Processor. There was x86, 286, 386, 486. I actually had a 386 enhanced, I think, which was basically a board, a circuit board that made your 286 into a 386, and that was a big deal. And how small your drives were. Well, my drive was small. It still is. It was a bad joke. So anyway, I got into discussion with him about, do you know the story about OS, what is it? Who made OS 2? OS 2. I'm drawing a blank right now. Was it IBM? I think, yeah, it was IBM. Back in the day, IBM had their own operating system. I heard it was actually pretty damn good, but nobody used it. That was the only major problem. So LS2, I thought was kind of like a dead issue. Because I know they were working on, IBM was working with Microsoft to make what was going to be OS 3, which actually, when Microsoft was working on it, they were also trying to make something else, which later on became, because Microsoft went their own way and they were dickheads about it, in my opinion, which eventually became Windows NT, which is still basically used underneath all the new operating systems from Microsoft, which would include OS. Why am I saying OS? But Windows 10. So, I'm giving you the very brief story about this whole thing. So why am I talking about this? Well, for a reason was, I thought, again, that IBM was out of the business of making operating systems, but no, they weren't. And as late as 2 years ago, or is it 3 years now? Maybe it was 2 years. They did work, or had been working on another operating system, which does exist today, which I was really shocked about. And it's something completely different. It's not called OS 2 or OS 3, but it's IBM's OS 5. And it's called Arca Noah. I think it's ARCA NOAE. But basically it's OS 5. And that's in today's times. So I thought they were out of the business altogether. And then I see this story that, yeah, they still make OSs, but really, again, it's one of these things people really don't have any interest in, I guess. So I just found it very fascinating that you could actually buy an IBM OS. Because I know IBM got out of making laptops now because they make their own hardware. But yeah, they actually do make an OS as well. So that was pretty cool. That was actually really interesting to read this. And it was just because I was BSing with some guy. I'm looking at it right now because it's talks about the OS and how it works and what you can get for it. Again, unfortunately, nobody's like on a large scale is going to use this OS. But it is out there. So I think that was really, really fascinating. I don't know much about it. 20 years ago or 30 years ago, I would have known a lot more about it, but not right now about these other operating systems. I know there's Linux out there and stuff. I wanted to put out because real quick, just to let people know, I blame this on all this illegal immigration, in my opinion. I can't prove it, but I'm just saying. But this story, I saw this, and it was on Fox 6. I'm not sure where it was from, but where this guy is battling for his life after having a flu. Young guy. He's only 21, and now he's like on a respirator, and they don't know if he's going to live or not, but it started out as a flu. And I'm hearing it's more and more where people are getting, your common cold or your flu, and it's not going away, and it's actually physically killing people. So you know where I'm going to go with this, or maybe you don't, so I'll just explain it to you. I still blame this. This is why, going back to what I had talked about, I guess a little earlier on, why we have certain things, and what's going on with my mic? Certain things in our country, why other countries probably do the same thing, why you don't let just people walk across the border and say, okay, you're part of our country now, without having background checks, and also, make sure they don't have any kind, I hate to say this, but any kind of disease they may bring into this country that we're not immune to. Because you get somebody that walks from another country into our country illegally, you don't know what, it doesn't just stop with, oh, okay, they have a criminal record. It doesn't stop that they might have drugs on them, because that's a problem. And people don't think about this very clearly. You also got to consider one other thing, folks. They could also be carrying certain types of diseases that we really don't know what they are. Infectious diseases that can, surprisingly, I hate to say this, but kill people. So, food for thought. That's all I'm going to say. Because I did have one other thing I forgot about, and it would have been more appropriate a few minutes ago than now to talk about, because I kind of went in one direction, and now I'm going to go back into another one again on entertainment. And it's not about Doctor Who. I don't know when it's coming out, but that Han Solo movie, there was some article today where I thought it was kind of cool. Hey, I need to talk about everything. That's just me. Whatever way my mind wants to go, I'm going to go that way. Excuse me. So the big thing now is it just was popped up yesterday. Yeah, not me, but something popped up, and it's not on me. Was about the new Han Solo movie, how they have a modification that they're actually, because it's supposed to be a prequel, this Han Solo movie, no puns intended, on the Millennium Falcon. How do you say that? Millennium Falcon. And the difference is I thought it was kind of funny almost. I made a joke out of it. I tried to. There is, which people are upset about, but there's a reason for this too. I'm trying to look what they called it because it was just so funny. The new Millennium Falcon fans. I hope they have it in subtext or something like that, because otherwise I won't be able to see it. But there's a piece in the front, a detachable piece that wasn't in the original film. Well, it's a prequel. So one thing is, the ship in the movie, since it is a prequel, is brand spanking new. So it's clean on the inside and out. It has no, it hasn't been in battle, so to speak. But what do they call that front half that just kind of had me laughing? A little bit. I'm just hoping the movie is going to be a little bit, here I go with a little bit, kind of promising, because I'm afraid it's going to be a complete flop, which I'm hoping it is not. I wrote it in my notes, too. But yeah, what did they call that though? The new one, because I wrote it in notes as a joke. Oh, okay. They called the part that was, they're trying to say it was removed because they're going back. They called it a wedgie. So a wedge. So if you look at the Millennium Falcon, if you're a big Star Wars fan, and this is going to get a lot of Star Wars fans upset, it does appear like there was a centerpiece to the spacecraft, and it looks like it could have been a cargo bay or something. Nobody knows because nobody ever questioned it. So there's this void, so to speak, in the front of the Millennium Falcon. And it looks like, it looks like a fork almost. If you look at, I'm looking at the picture now. I'm trying to describe what I see. And they're saying, well, in the Han Solo movie, that empty void is filled, which indicates that what it could have been, that bay that is now filled, because this is like a brand new ship as opposed to when you see it as an old ship. Well, that piece that is, had been removed in Star Wars New Hope and is now placed back in, could have been a, what do you call it, a escape pod, or it could have been a cargo bay, because they said they make reference, they're trying to fill that void from the original Star Wars where Han Solo shoots that alien in the bar. There's that alien that talks that bizarre language, and have little subtitles when he's talking to Han Solo, which only Han Solo knows what he's saying. We have to read it. And they're saying what the guy was talking about, like, yeah, how could you lose cargo? How could you lose all this cargo? And this and make it disappear or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was. You'd have to go back and watch that Star Wars movie. I've seen it 100 times. I can't remember that part. Bottom line is they're trying to fill that void. Like they did that with, I'm trying to think that that in-between Star Wars movie, which everybody I talk to really likes it. And I can't remember the name, and I'm going to have to look this up now. Let's see. Star Wars. Wow, I really spelled that wrong. Star Wars movies. I had to figure out what I said. Let's put Stars movies. I really spelled that wrong. Give me another minute because I do want to end. And, wow. Actually did make it an hour. How did I do that? Okay, we're Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Episode 1, 2, and 3. Then there's claiming, which was a cartoon. I don't include that. Star Wars, The Clone Wars, The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Episode 4. Episode 4. What am I missing, though? There's one that I am missing, yo. You know what? Because I think I actually have it on my iTunes. Oh, that reminds me, too, for anybody who loves... you know what? I'm actually appreciate it more, but they actually did release for iTunes, if you want to get ahead of time, was Justice League. And I started watching a little bit. Again, I don't watch these things in their entirety, but I do start to watch it. I started watching after I bought it. It was like $20, $19. Sorry, I didn't mean to scream like that. What do you call it? Justice League. I was like, yeah, you know what? This is actually pretty interesting. It's something fun to watch. Not everything has to be educational you watch. It's a movie. You're supposed to enjoy yourself. No, I don't think I have this in here. I thought I did. I apologize. I'm looking for that one movie. It was Star Wars Story or something. I can't remember, but it was really good. It was supposed to be like a prequel to A New Hope, and it was really good. And I actually liked it in those new Star Wars by J.J. Abrams movies. Because honestly, they're not as they're cool, but they're not great. They're not Star Wars the way I remember. So let me put in other Star Wars movies. I'm sorry for the dead space too. Nobody's going to be listening to me anymore anyway. Trilogy, prequels, Phantom Menace, sequels, Force Awakens, Last Jedi. Yeah, what's going on here? I guess it would be considered a spin-off, right? Yeah, they're talking about making a Boba Fett movie too, but I don't know if that's going to actually happen. Revenge of the Sith, Han Solo. Why am I missing this one? Revenge of the Sith, Episode 3. I am so sorry, folks. I can't find what I'm looking for. And everybody, Rogue One. It came to me. Thank you. Yeah, Rogue One was really interesting. That was a side story. What was I going with this now? I can't remember that now. Not important, actually. I know nothing's important. Yeah, Rogue One actually had a lot of promise to it. Very cool side story. In fact, it actually helped pull together, in my opinion, Lucas's first 3 films, because it was a bridge between Lucas's first 3 films, even though he had nothing to do with it, and his original 3 films, which were technically 4, 5, and 6. So altogether, Rogue One was, when I talked to many people, or the people I did talk to, I should say. Maybe it's not a lot, but the ones I had talked to said that, yeah, they really enjoyed Rogue One. And it was like, yeah, because it actually goes into the first 2 or 3 minutes of Star Wars, which then became Star Wars A New Hope. It literally bridges that gap, from from Lucas's 1, 2, and 3 to 4, 5, and 6, and it does a beautiful job with that. It does an excellent job. So, yeah. So sometimes these. Now this year, by the way, it should be the Han Solo movie. So, I'm kind of actually looking forward to that more so because again, these side movies have just been, really good. Well, at least that one was. I can't say much else because here I'll say, oh yeah, you know what? All these side stories of Star Wars are incredible, and then I'll see Han Solo and say it's a piece of garbage because I hope it's not. I'm just saying. So anyway, I'm really just talking about more nonsense than normal, so I apologize. But there is some really, really cool pictures, by the way, of the new Star Wars movie. I'm sorry, I just can't say that enough. And I thank everyone who may listen to this, which is, 12 people? Well, sorry, maybe 10 people. That I appreciate that if you hear this nonsense, that, you stuck with it. And I hope you had a good Valentine's. Is it Valentine's? Valentine's. Doesn't matter. It's over anyway, so for another year. So thank you again, and everyone. I don't know when I'll be back, so this was an unexpected show. Something that I needed to do just to calm myself down, which it worked, so thank you. Have a good one, everyone. It's almost Friday again, and President's Day will be this coming Monday. So thanks. Have a good night. This is Walter from iWalter. Signing off for now. Oh, I got to figure out how to do this damn thing.